Welcome to my crazy life. I'm Lori, and today we're going to talk about probably my favorite topic, travel. I love to travel. I love to talk about travel. I love sharing travel advice, information, the knowledge that I've gained over the years. I just like it. So, today's topic is going to be, and I even have notes, my top 10 tips for international trip preparation. It's a mouthful, but it all boils down to prior planning prevents problems. And as much as you can get done before you leave makes your time away that much more enjoyable. That's my theory. It's still cold here. I am freezing. All right, we will jump right in. So the first thing on my list is passports. If you're going to travel internationally or leave the country, you have to have a passport. I believe the only time you don't is when you take a cruise and you're leaving, say, from Miami and coming back to Miami. Then you can get away with just a driver's license, birth certificate, photo ID. The problem with that is while you're on a cruise, if something were to happen to you, to a family member, you can't fly home because you cannot get on an international flight without a passport. So at this point, you can't even go to Niagara Falls or Mexico without a passport. So it's very important that if you're going to do any type of international travel, you need a passport. This is mine. You can take it out. I love my little case. It matches my luggage tag. Maybe I'll take it out. Oh, yeah. It's coming. Okay. And I probably will store it like this, and then I can put IDs and things over here as well. But this is my passport. You'll show them your picture. If some countries want to stamp, these are the pages that they stamp. Passports for adults, so that is anything 16 years and older, are good for 10 years. And I believe they're $118, but don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. And then children under the age of 16, their passports are less, and they're only good for 5 years. 5 years for children, 10 for adults. There's a caveat to that. And I had to document this because I wasn't sure what it was called. I knew the rules, but I didn't know the names, and there's actual names for this. Your passport cannot expire within 6 months of you traveling to certain countries. And they're calling that the passport, the 6-month validity rule. So there are certain countries, and there's a whole list on the internet and Google, that you cannot go to if your passport, they won't even allow you on the plane. Or you may get there, but they're not going to grant you access to the country, and you'll have to turn around and go home at your own expense. So there are certain countries that say your passport is, I want to go right now, but my passport expires in 3 months. Well, I think I'm fine. I've got 3 months to travel. No. So the best rule of thumb is if you're going to be expiring anywhere near that 6 month, go ahead and renew it. Some countries in Europe follow what's called the Schengen, Schengen agreement that requires a passport to be valid at least 3 months beyond the intended departure date. So for me, and the way I look at it and when I'm talking to folks is best rule of thumb, 6 months. If your passport is expiring within 6 months, you just need to renew it. Just send it in and get it done. A renewal is pretty much the same thing, but you don't have to fill out all the paperwork. You just need to send in your old passport, a new photo, and sign some documents and mail it in with a check. And I got it back within a couple weeks. It does take up to 6 weeks to get a passport. So if you're planning a trip, this is the single most important thing you'll need is your passport and a light reflector. Oh, look at me. That's number one, passport. You got to have them. Now, the next thing on my list, how do you book your trip? Do you book it a la carte or you go online, you book your own airfare, then you book a hotel, and then you do all the excursions or whatever. You could certainly do that. They have all-inclusive tours you could book, which is one price that covers your airfare, your hotel, your tour, you know, but in that situation, they give you an itinerary. You're on their time frame. You do what they want, when they want, how they want, where to go. And that's great for some folks. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. It's simple. It costs you an X amount of dollars. You can budget and you're done. Then you can do what I do personally and for my family is we do a hybrid of the two. So I have a travel agent and she books usually airfare and hotel for me. So it's a tour. This year we're going through Delta Dream Vacations. I've done that twice, and then I've used like Apple Tours for like the Caribbean and tropical destinations. But so my travel agent will send me a list of hotels, airfares, dates, and I'll, you know, we'll talk back and forth and figure out which one is best for me and for what I want and what we're doing. We're about ready to get a visitor. Debbie, no, honey. Nobody wants to see the kitty. So then what I do is I research and I book other, you know, the things that we want to do based on our interests and who I'm traveling with. So we're going to talk about this trip to Scotland that I'm taking. My niece and I love to read. We love books. We love yarn and knitting. So we're going to do a literary walking tour, and then we found a yarn store. We're going to do some shopping, some touring, you know, in the city. And then I booked us on a separate tour, leaving Edinburgh on one day, driving in a tour bus guided up to Inverness and coming back the next day. That is separate. We will not check out of our hotel. We will not, you know, we'll just pack an overnight bag and a backpack, throw it in and go. And then that's a guided tour where they will take us to certain destinations. They even booked a hotel for us. Just because I didn't want to deal with it, and I figured they'll get a decent enough price. So we're staying at a little bed and breakfast in Inverness. But you could totally do it on your own. You could stay in the one place. See, at that point, once you've figured out where you're going, how you're getting there, and who you're paying. Oh, and the other benefit to booking through like a Delta Dream Vacation or something like that is you can make payments. So like we put, I think our whole trip was $1,600 for the airfare and the hotel each. We had to put $300 down, and it has to be paid by the end of this month, which we had a year to, you know, pay on this trip, which makes it even easier. So you've researched, you either have a travel agent or you've booked it yourself. I mean, I know Groupon has things, TripAdvisor, there's all kinds of ways to book a trip. This is how we chose to do it this time. And this is what's going to work for my family on this trip. And then the next step is to research your destination, or my next tip is to research, know where you're going. My first step, once we've planned, is I get a travel book. And this is, I really like Rick Steves' books. They're very concise. They're very complete. I mean, there is all kinds of information in here. And he's also very budget friendly, which I like. You know, I don't need to throw money around all the time. I don't have that to throw around. So it's nice to have alternate options of things to do. So I always get a travel book, and then I bring this with me. You know, in this day and age, we're very technology dependent, and that is great. I mean, there's so much information, and that's one of my biggest resources. But when you're traveling, you're not always going to have access to the internet. You're not going to have access to your phone if you don't have an international calling plan. I mean, really. So I like to bring a book that I will have marked up the pages of the information that I want to do, and there's definitely ideas in here. And this was published in 2016, so not too bad. So I have a book. Using the internet, I'm sorry, I was checking my notes. Using the internet is great for reviews. Oh, the reviews are going to be an excellent resource for you, especially like TripAdvisor. But here is how I deal with reviews. They're always going to be biased by some external circumstance that took place, you know, on this trip. Very rarely you're going to see a review that hasn't been tainted in some way, good or bad. I mean, it's just, you know, it's the review, but it's a review based on their experience, and their experience is not necessarily going to be your experience. So what I do is I read through the reviews, I kind of discard the greatest and I discard the worst. Because in my mind, something has happened. I try to stick in the middle of the road, but if I'm reading consistently over and over and over, not worth your money, it's dirty, it's smelly, the bathroom's terrible, blah, 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 and I'm hearing the same vein of complaints, whether it be for a hotel or an excursion or a thing, then I'm going to think twice about that, because even the good reviews are going to, have something to say. So if I'm seeing the same kind of repetitive review of an experience or whatever, then I'm going to think twice about that review or about that whatever hotel, destination, place. But they're good. They're a good touching point. And I guess my best advice on that is this. When you're traveling the world, you're not at home. Not all countries live up to the same standards that we live up to. Hotels are going to be smaller. They're not going to have the amenities necessarily that you're accustomed to here. You have to go with an open mind or you're going to be miserable. No way if ands or buts about it. Take everything with a grain of salt and just enjoy the trip, enjoy the experience, and don't sweat the small things. Don't worry so much that you don't have a washcloth. It's not the end of the world. They'll get you one, or go buy one, or I bring buffs with me, body wash buffs. Because I know that not all the countries live up to our same standards, and what is acceptable here is not necessarily, the acceptable standard here, the minimum standard here is not necessarily what you're going to get when you go overseas or anywhere in the world other than the United States. So just kind of keep that in mind. Documents. And this is going back to, you may not always have internet access. It's reality. Unless you're willing to pay high dollars, you may not. So, and I've shown this before. This is my notebook. This is for this trip. And honestly, I just put the basics. I haven't really filled it out yet because we don't leave for 6 weeks, but it's going to have hotel information. It's going to have flight information. It's going to have phone numbers, emergency contact numbers, my passport number I'll write in here. I will keep a picture of my passport in here. There will be a picture of my luggage. I will leave a picture at home and I will email. So one picture kind of gets broadcast around the world in case there's an emergency. Documents are important to have. I want my tour information in here. I also already have the Robbie's tour that we're going on. I already have their address, their phone number, approximate times we're leaving, what time we're coming back. And then I will print my itinerary and stick it in here. I will print my flight information, and this goes in a bag, or I just ordered a document holder and I'm not sure if this will fit or not. I may end up moving into a smaller notebook just because it would be nice to have everything in one traveler note. It's like a zip container, but it holds all your travel stuff. It's just easier to open up a notebook than it is to flag down somebody and figure out how to internet if you get lost and you can't find your hotel. Or if you need to get into a taxi cab and you don't have the address where you're going, they may not necessarily know the name of your hotel. It's kind of, again, be responsible, be an independent traveler that has your information. Don't depend on everybody else to get you where you need to go. Also, email your travel documents, your itinerary, or send it, copy it, give it to somebody in your family. People need to know where you're at. Not necessarily on the internet or Facebook, but I will leave a copy with my brother and a copy with my cousin. My brother, they need to know where I'm at and when I plan on being where. In case there's an emergency, home, or in case we are not in contact with them and they're worried about us, they should be able to locate where we are. So usually in one email, I'll send a copy of my passport, a copy of my itinerary, and then a list of, just type out an email. Hey, thank you so much for caring. We're going here. We'll be here. This is our hotel. This is the phone number to the hotel. If there's any emergencies, or don't contact us unless somebody died, because there's not much I can do until I get home. Whatever arrangements you come up with for that. But there's nothing wrong with being old school and keeping paper documents. You know what? You may never open it up. And that will be perfect. That means your trip went without a hitch. or you may need to research, you may need to find out what the name of your hotel is because you can't find it when you first get there, which did happen to me in London. We had to get into a taxi because we could not find our hotel. So that's definitely my tip number 4, documentation. My tip number 5 is about food. Now, we all have dietary needs. And keep in mind, when you leave the comforts of your community, you may or may not be able to get specific items. I'm diabetic. So, and I use a Splenda Natural sweetener. It's my preferred sweetener. So I put some in a zip baggie and I put it in my purse. I have now taken care of myself, and I'm not anticipating or expecting somebody else to carry the products that I want. And I know from experience that sometimes getting even Splenda, Sweet and Low, any type of artificial sweetener, natural sweetener that's sugar-free is not easy in Europe. It's not every coffee shop, and I love coffee, so I'm gonna have my sugar with me. So I took it upon myself to just have it with me. It's light, it's small, it'll go in my zip bag. My niece is vegetarian. No, she will not have a problem finding food in Europe. However, we did request on the flight, which you should do if you have dietary needs. I'm diabetic, we told them. My niece is vegetarian, we told them. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to remember, or that the food is going to be delivered properly, or they're going to have on the 7-hour flight what we choose to eat. So we'll pack stuff for ourselves. And if I eat it, I eat it. If I don't, it's all going to be non-perishable package of something that I will eat eventually. It's not a big deal. Even if I don't, even if I pack myself a little lunch to have on the plane and then I decide, well, they did come through with something I could have, I'll eat that. It's fine, because I'm not going to have the stress of worrying that there's nothing for me to eat or nothing for Sarah to eat for 7 hours because she doesn't want to eat meat or a bread product because that's all they offered her. So again, owning it, taking it on. It's my dietary needs, not yours. It costs me no hardship, costs her no hardship to throw something in our backpacks to take on the plane. I mean, we're going to be traveling 24 hours. So we leave Columbus, I think, at 8 in the morning. We fly to New York, and then we're in New York for 5 hours, and then we have a 7-hour flight. So trust me, snacks will get eaten. And I always pack enough for both trips. So I have a zip bag that goes in my luggage for the return flight of the non-perishable stuff. Now, I know that I'm a little overly prepared sometimes, but we all appreciate that when you're sitting there eating paper towels because they don't have your food. All right, so food is a big thing. Water. This is part of the food thing. The water outside the United States is perfectly safe to drink. However, even state to state, community to community, neighborhood to neighborhood, water is different. There's different bacteria, there's different flora and fauna, there's different chemicals that your body may or may not be used to. I personally try to drink bottled water, or I'm thinking about picking up the Brita water bottle. So it has a built-in filter. Or I have a bobble, actually, that I could take that has a built-in filter. So tap water, built-in filter, I'm good to go. It's going to filter out any impurities in the water. My body may not like it. And quite frankly, depending on where you're at, I shouldn't say the water all over the world is safe, because there are places that it's not safe to drink. But where I'm going, it's going to be safe to drink. But my body still may have a reaction to it. So I'm either going to drink bottled water, or I'm going to bring a water bottle filter, which I would bring a water bottle anyway for the flight. So again, throw it in my backpack and I'm good. So just kind of keep that in mind. That water's different. Food is going to be different. The water is going to be different. It's a great time to explore and try new things, but just, keep in mind when you're trying new stuff that your body may be like, whoa, what are you doing? I do know for a fact that in the UK, they don't have coffee pots in their room. They have tea kettles. I love tea, don't get me wrong, but I need my coffee. So the first thing I did on the internet is found the closest coffee shop to my hotel, because then I'll run there and get my coffee in the morning, which is great. Okay, tip number 6. Sorry, this is very long-winded, but there's a lot of information that's important, I feel like, is luggage. Packing is a personal choice. What you take, what you don't take, that's totally up to you. But keep in mind that you're going to fly into this foreign destination. You may take public transportation. You may have to take a taxi or walk, God knows how far, to your hotel. Overpacking is just stressful. So first thing you do is you want to find out the weather where you're going. And that'll kind of determine what you're going to pack. I went to London and Paris with carry-on luggage only because we did a capsule wardrobe where everything matched and we just interchanged and it was great. Now it's going to be a little colder, a little more moist where we're going, so we're going to check luggage. But again, I'm doing the capsule type wardrobe where all my clothes will match, my shoes, everything is interchangeable. So I don't have to worry about 47 outfits. And I believe our hotel has a laundry, which I need to look into. If purchasing a piece of luggage, I don't recommend buying black. Don't buy a black piece of luggage. Here's the thing. You know, you're going to get to where you're at. You've been traveling all day and 30,000 black suitcases are going to come off that carousel and you have to figure out which one is yours. Or God forbid your luggage doesn't make it and you go up to tell the person at the luggage carousel place, your luggage isn't there, and they ask for a description and you say black. Not a good sign. My number one recommendation again is take a picture of your luggage. Take a picture of your suitcase. If it gets lost, you can show them the picture, forward the picture to them. This is my suitcase. My personal suitcase is purple. It's a bright purple, and my niece, I got her last year, is teal. We're not losing our suitcase. And I also have a luggage strap that goes on snaps on that has been embroidered on it that says Cruising Buddies because it's a group that I belong to. But that is something that I doubt anybody else flying into Scotland is going to have a cruise luggage snap on theirs. And you don't want to take an old piece of luggage that doesn't have good wheels, might be falling apart. You know, I know it's another added expense, but nobody wants to get to their travel destination and have their luggage break and have to figure out, you know, how you're going to get a new piece of luggage. That just sounds like a nightmare to me. But that's me. So if you do have black luggage, deal with it. Put some duct tape on it, put a big bow, put a ribbon, put something that's durable around the handle. If you're going to lock your luggage up, I don't recommend zip ties. TSA has to get into it. So they do sell everywhere TSA luggage locks that you can lock. Nobody else is getting into it, but the TSA have a key that they can open it up because they will go through your luggage. They do random checks of your luggage. So if you have some kind of contraband, they will get it, or they will put a slip in there that says that your luggage was searched on that. I think that's it for luggage. Tip number 7, currency. So you're leaving home, you're leaving the good old US of A, and they don't take our money. So you got to figure out how you're going to get foreign currency. And there's a couple ways to do it. The first is go to your bank. Now, where I bank, I've already checked with them. They charge an $8 courier fee. They'll change my money into where I'm going. You're not guaranteed the best exchange rate because it depends, when, but it could be a worse exchange rate too when you get there, who knows. But you can exchange your currency with your local bank and take cash with you. That's totally acceptable. You can exchange it at the airport on either side, before you go or when you get there. I do not recommend getting currency at the airport. At the currency exchange booth. Terrible exchange rate, fees, you're gonna lose no matter what. I don't recommend it. What I plan to do at the airport when we get there is find the first ATM, put my card in it, and withdraw whatever cash that I think I'm gonna need for a couple of days. My bank does not have a foreign currency fee, and because I work for a bank, I don't get ATM fees, but ATM fees are still going to be less than currency exchange or getting stuck without any money. Now, in that same vein, you need to call your bank. You need to call your credit card companies, all of them, not store cards, all your major credit cards. Even if you have a Visa that you have no intention of using, call them. Tell them where you're going, tell them where you'll be, and how long you'll be gone. They're going to ask you for all your details, or you can go online. They have app, like I think I can do my Capital One card on my app. I will call my bank. I need to find out a couple things. When you call them, what is your foreign transaction fee? So what that is, it's a fee that they charge you for using your credit card in a foreign country. One of my cards is 0, one is 3%, and then I had one that I don't have that card anymore. It was 13%, which is crazy because it was a Carnival cruise card. I'm like, you are a travel credit card. And they had the highest foreign transaction fee, which was crazy to me, but I digress. So you're going to call your bank, you're going to tell them where you're going, when you're going to be gone, how long you'll be gone, all the important details. You're going to ask them what their foreign transaction fee is. And by that determination, you could choose which, obviously which card is going to be best for you. You could also choose to put everything on a credit card and pay cash when you get home, or I do a blend of both. It just kind of depends. When I'm buying, when I take my trip to Inverness, the hotel doesn't take credit cards, and I think we have to pay cash to get into like the museums and the castles and things like that. Purchases, I do like to put on my credit card because I'm protected. If there's some type of a problem, Capital One or whomever is going to protect my purchase. So, also don't put all your cards in one basket. Don't put them all in your purse, store maybe one in your luggage, put one in your carry-on, and put one in another bag. In case you are mugged, pickpocketed, or whatever, you just don't want everything in one place. I don't put my driver's license with my passport. I don't put my photocopy of my passport with my passport. It stays in my luggage because if my luggage gets lost and my tag comes off, my passport copy is in my luggage and they can open it up and they will know who I am. Oh, and you also want to find out from your bank what your limit is for withdrawals. So if your bank has a $200 limit, but you need $400, that could be a problem. So you just need to know going in, how much can I withdraw in any 24-hour period? Easy peasy. Medications. This is a big one because especially if these are life-saving medications that you take, you need to know what you're taking and what you're taking them for. So if that means writing yourself a little list in your notebook on a page that says meds, and I take a vitamin, I take a biotin, I take something for my mood, I don't know, I take something for my blood pressure, I take something for my diabetes. This is what I take, this is what my dose, this is why I take it. Any type of an emergency, if you think ahead, these little steps can save your life, literally. I store mine in this container. It is a cat, and it's a black cat because I have a black cat with ears and everything. Super cute. But in here, you can see there's a lot of room in here. It's an 8-day. So it's Monday through Friday and then one day for like an extra. But I'm going to be gone 8 days. So I'm going to fill this pill holder with every day's worth of vitamins, minerals, whatever it is I'm taking. My medication goes in here for every day that I'm gone. And then I have some little baggies. They're actually, I think, like jewelry baggies. But I will put like 4 or 5 days worth of medicine in the baggies and stick the baggies in here. So now I've got a buffer. If we're bumped from our flight, something happens, I've got 4 to 5 extra days worth of my daily medication with me. I liked this little bag because it seals. So if these were to open, I have lost pills before in my bag, like traveling, and pills fell out. Even though they snap, sometimes they're not great. So in here, at least I know where it's at. Now, I don't tend to travel with my pill bottles, but I also do not take any opioids. So if you're taking something, pain medication, sleeping pills, anything that could be questioned, I would bring the bottle. I would bring your prescription bottle if you have any liquids. I have one shot that I have to take on a Sunday. It's for my diabetes, and I'm debating leaving it in its box and putting the shot in its prescription box, just one, because with the box it has a prescription label on it for my pharmacy. In my luggage or in my carry-on. And that's the thing, keep your medication with you. Do not put it in your check luggage. Now, if you have 5 to 7 days worth here, maybe you could put your extras in the luggage, but I keep all mine with me. Do not check your medication. Again, the luggage could be lost. It's gone through. Just keep it with you. And on that vein, I bring my sinus medicine, I bring ibuprofen, and I bring anti-diarrheal, Imodium, something, because I inevitably eat something that makes me, oh, my battery's getting ready to poop out on me. I inevitably eat something that's going to make my stomach upset. So maybe some Tums, just something. Yes, you can totally get medication wherever you are. But if you're not feeling good already, do you want to try to figure out what their version of Pepto-Bismol is? Because I sure the heck do not. So I just put them all in here. And there's plenty of room. I could probably fit in this little container that I got this at Kohl's. I could probably fit a second one of these. Like, that's how much extra room is in here. So this will be perfect, and this will hold all my meds. So medications, shoes and clothing. Tip number 9, do not wear new shoes. Don't do it. Trust me. Trust me. Blisters are no fun. Wherever you're going, you're going to be walking. I can guarantee it. You're going to be touring and traveling and running around. You know, I got a pair of, after some research, a pair of Supergas. I did a review on them. I've been wearing them around now to break them in. But you just think layers, think comfort, think do not stick out like a sore thumb. Most countries, people do not walk around in tennis shoes, and that kind of just targets you as an American, and you don't want to be a target. You want to blend. When you're touring and traveling, you want to blend in. You don't want to bring and wear a bunch of fancy jewelry and fancy clothes and your Michael Kors this and your Coach that, because it makes you a target. You just really want to blend in with the people like you belong there. You know, that's really all I can say on the shoes and clothes. It's going to be up to you what you choose to bring and wear, but keep in mind you don't want to be a target. And number 10 is kind of a catch-all. Plants, pets, and mail. Who's going to watch your fur baby? I have cats, so my brother will come and take care of them for me a couple times while we're gone. They're perfectly fine to be home alone, but my new one's kind of pidgy and he eats a lot, so I need somebody to come and check and make sure that the other cat has food and water, and they get lonely. You know, they're social animals. Obviously, if you're going to board your dog or other animals, you're going to want to make that appointment or reservation in advance, depending on when you travel, if these things book up. So I would, you know, I'm leaving in 6 weeks. I don't have to worry about my cats, but I would have already booked someplace for my dog. If I had a dog, and I don't. So what I do with my plants is my brother and sister-in-law, one of them, will come and check on the plants, on the cats. And they'll need to get them water. So what I do is I'm looking because you can clearly see my kitchen. I leave the plants that I think are going to need water on the sink, on the counter, with a note that says, please water me, so they can throw some water at them while they're here. I'm not going to stress them out about worrying. I usually leave a note. Hey, here's the cat food. Here's this. If you could change the water, they need this. Check the kitty. You know the deal. Love my baby and give him a kiss. There's that. And then the mail. You can stop your mail. You can stop your newspaper, because again, you don't want to be a target, and leaving newspapers piled up and mail falling out of your mailbox, that's a problem. So that's it. That's my top 10 international travel preparations. That's a mouthful. That's my top 10 travel tips for you, and I hope they were helpful. Bye.